Let's jump right into today's explainer, where we're unpacking Ethan's terrifying midnight encounter. We're going to look at the chilling urban legend of the Smiling Man. And honestly, this whole story is just an absolute masterclass in how to build inescapable tension and pure psychological dread. Seriously, picture this exact scenario for a second. You're walking home alone, the streets are completely dead, you look up and there's a man just staring at you, grinning from ear to ear. What do you actually do? This source material taps straight into those primal fears right off the bat, laying down a rule that sets the stakes from literal second one. Section 1, the midnight shortcut and the setup. So, we start with Ethan. He's working the late shift at a video editing studio in Tokyo when a power failure forces him to take this narrow, poorly lit riverside shortcut in the freezing mist. And the timeline we're looking at here, it brilliantly illustrates the relentless pacing of the stalking that's about to go down. It maps out his escalating nightmare minute by terrifying minute, starting at exactly 12:17 a.m. on that path and spiraling completely out of control over the next 30 hours. It all starts with the sensory details. The rain has kind of faded into this cold, thick mist, and the only sound is the squeak of Ethan's own shoes. But then there's a new sound. Tap, tap, tap. Footsteps, exactly 30 feet behind him. Ethan turns around, and there's a man in a dark suit standing under a flickering streetlight, wearing this unnaturally wide grin. Like it's stretched so far it literally looks like it's being pulled toward his ears. Section 2. The rules of the legend. Right then, Ethan suddenly remembers an old Japanese urban legend about the Smiling Man, and this legend comes with a very strict set of survival rules. But what's so terrifying here is how easily these rules are broken by just standard human politeness, you know? Like when Ethan gives a guy a polite little nod, he almost violates rule number 1 right there. And as the footsteps start up again, staying the exact same distance behind him, Ethan literally has to start jogging just to maintain rule 3. Now here is where things go from a creepy stalker situation to something totally supernatural. Ethan realizes the footsteps behind him have actually stopped. He looks over, and the entity has suddenly appeared, walking parallel to him on the total opposite side of the river. And the kicker? There is no bridge anywhere nearby. It's a massive spatial violation. And it tells Ethan and all of us that the normal laws of reality just don't apply anymore. Section 3. The tunnel face. Up ahead, there's a short, damp pedestrian tunnel that goes under a road. Ethan just sprints into it, his footsteps echoing like crazy off the concrete. For one brief second, he actually thinks he lost the guy. But then, right behind his left ear, an impossible voice whispers, "Why won't you smile?" In a buzzing, empty tunnel with nowhere to hide, that whisper is pure nightmare fuel. He spins around, and there's the Smiling Man at the far end of the tunnel, head tilted, just grinning. Section 4. Nowhere is safe. We're now at 12:31 a.m. Ethan finally makes it to his 7th floor apartment, throws every single deadbolt, and thinks, okay, I'm safe. But physical locks don't exactly do much against supernatural threats, do they? The tension skyrockets right back up when his phone suddenly vibrates on the counter. It's a text message from a totally unknown, unregistered number. Didn't your mother teach you that it's rude not to return a smile? I mean, just think about the heavy, violating gravity of those words creeping into what's supposed to be a safe space. It makes Ethan's blood run completely cold. He deletes it immediately, but another one comes through instantly. I'm still here. And guys, it's not just a text this time. It comes with a photo. A horrifying picture of his exact apartment building, clearly taken from the street right down below. Ethan rushes over, yanks back the curtain, and looks down those 7 flights. And right there, standing on the sidewalk, looking directly up at him, is the Smiling Man. Section 5. The final fatal rule. So, desperate for an out, Ethan flees to his friend Maya's apartment across town the next night, just hoping distance will save him. But at exactly 11:58 p.m., the building's buzzer starts ringing. They check the security app, the hallway camera feed is totally empty, until exactly 11:59 and 13 seconds. For just a single 1-second frame, the camera captures the Smiling Man's impossibly wide grin staring right into the lens. And the very next frame? Completely empty again. And then, the terror moves off the screen and right up to the physical door of the apartment. 3 soft knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Maya whispers for him not to open it. Then, from the other side of the wood, this really gentle voice just says,
I only want to smile.
And this right here is when the devastating, totally forgotten part of the legend comes crashing down on Ethan. There was a hidden rule. The second the voice outside the door softly says his name, Ethan, it is officially too late. The entity hasn't just found him anymore. It has chosen him.
This sensory horror absolutely peaks in this moment. The apartment lights suddenly snap off. The door never opens, but in the pitch blackness of the living room, they hear slow, impossible footsteps crossing the carpet. Tap, tap, tap. And the whole room just fills with this overwhelming smell of rainwater and old metallic blood. The silhouette is now standing right next to them in the dark, and it whispers this terrifying promise right into Ethan's face. Everyone smiles eventually. Ethan feels this paralyzing physical pressure, like actual invisible fingers are trying to force the corners of his mouth upward into a smile. The spell is only broken when Maya screams for him to look at the floor. He averts his gaze, and finally, the entity retreats. Section 6, an unending nightmare. But as we see, surviving the night absolutely does not mean escaping the curse. Even though the entity stepped back into the shadows and left nothing but wet footprints, its psychological grip was still there. At 6:02 a.m., Ethan gets a text with just 5 words, "You smiled in your sleep." And it included a photo taken of Ethan from inside the apartment while he slept on Maya's couch. The entity had never really left at all. The psychological consequences of all this, completely inescapable. Fast forward 3 months later. Ethan quit his job. He moved to a new apartment. He changed his phone number. And he absolutely never ever steps outside after dark anymore. He's essentially had to build a prison for himself just to avoid breaking the rules ever again. But here's the kicker. Despite all those extreme precautions, every single morning, Ethan still gets a text message from an unknown sender. It's this haunting daily reminder that he's still marked. It's just one sentence waiting for him when he wakes up. Your smile is getting wider. This whole explainer really shows how a simple rule, just don't smile back, can build an atmosphere of absolute dread that sticks with you way after the story ends. It completely preys on our basic human instincts, right? The urge to be polite and the instinct to look at the thing that's scaring us. So take away this one final thought from Ethan's nightmare. Tonight, if you're walking alone on an empty street and you hear footsteps stop right behind you, will you smile back?